The shuttle Sparrow 7 drifted toward Varco Prime like a wounded insect approaching a leviathan. The Enforcer battle station dominated the starfield, an armored citadel wrapped in jagged rings and glowing defense grids. Captain Rowan Hale watched its silhouette grow across the viewport, the quiet hum of the aging human vessel contrasting sharply with the distant roar of Enforcer engines. He inhaled once, slow and measured, then shut down every unnecessary system. The Enforcers preferred visitors to arrive powerless. It made them feel in control. He let the shuttle settle into their docking clamps without resistance. A metallic clunk reverberated through the hull. They had him. The ramp lowered with a hiss. Heat from the station washed over him, thick and metallic, laced with engine fumes. He stepped out alone. Human boots met Enforcer alloy, each footfall echoing through the cavernous hangar. At least 200 soldiers watched from elevated platforms. Armored figures, massive, scaled, augmented, glared at him with a mix of amusement and disdain. Along the railing, small floating drones whirred forward, recording every angle of his approach. A voice crackled across the loudspeakers. Human Delegate Rowan Hale. Proceed alone. Any deviation will be considered an act of hostility. Rowan kept walking. He didn't limp intentionally, but the old shrapnel wound from Meridian Ridge never let him forget its presence. Enforcer soldiers noticed immediately. Some whispered to each other in guttural tones. Broken. This is the envoy they sent? Pathetic. Rowan ignored them, focusing on the path ahead, a long corridor lined with harsh white lights that stretched toward the station's central command hall. The deeper he went, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The Enforcers had designed these halls to make visitors feel small, creating a psychological advantage before negotiations even began. Another drone swooped close. Its lens adjusted, zooming in on his scarred jaw. You planning to bite someone? One soldier called down. Rowan didn't respond. He saved his words for moments that mattered. The corridor opened into a vast chamber shaped like a war amphitheater. Command banners hung from towering pillars. A semicircle of Enforcer officials watched from tiered platforms. At the far end, elevated on a reinforced dais, sat High Marshal Carthix Velrun. The warlord's presence dominated the room. Carthix rose slowly, his massive frame casting a shadow across the chamber. Jagged armor plates reflected the faint blue glow of the broadcast screens suspended above. His yellow eyes tracked Rowan with predatory focus. So this is humanity's representative, Carthix said, his voice booming like rolling thunder. I expected someone more intact. Rowan halted at the foot of the dais. Captain Rowan Hale, Interstellar Diplomatic Corps. Diplomatic, Carthix repeated with a curl of his lip. How amusing. Two Enforcer guards dragged figures into view, human colonists, bound and bruised. They knelt, trembling, under the weight of restraints. Rowan's eyes hardened. You're violating interstellar treaty law by detaining civilians. Their release is the purpose of this meeting. Carthix spread his arms theatrically as the broadcast drones circled overhead. Oh, the galaxy is watching, human. They wish to see if you people have learned your place yet. Murmurs of anticipation rippled through the Enforcer seats. The colony will be spared, Carthix continued. If you kneel. Here. Now. Before every species tuned to this broadcast. Rowan studied him in silence. He felt his pulse steady. This man wanted a performance. Something dramatic, humiliating. Rowan wouldn't give him that. No, he said. The word echoed like a stone dropped into still water. Carthix's eyes narrowed. Perhaps you misunderstand. Kneel or your people. No, Rowan repeated, calm as still air. A shockwave of murmurs swept through the chamber. Even the drones paused, recalibrating their angles for maximum spectacle. Rowan didn't move, didn't blink. Years of discipline anchored him. Carthix descended from his throne, metal boots pounding against the dais. Up close, he loomed like a living fortress, towering over Rowan. You will kneel, Carthix growled, or you will suffer the consequences of defiance. I won't kneel, Rowan said softly. And you know why. Karthix's nostrils flared. Enlighten me. Because fear is the foundation of your power. I won't contribute to it. Gasps cut through the audience, quiet but unmistakable. Karthix sneered. Then you choose death. Very well. Let us entertain the galaxy. He signaled with a clawed hand. Guards stepped forward, stripping Rowan of his holster, jacket, and reinforced vest. They left him in a simple undershirt, the scars on his arms stark under the harsh lights. Despite the humiliating strip-down, Rowan kept his posture straight. Karthix addressed the cameras. Let the galaxy witness humanity's fate. Rowan Hale will endure a trial of survival. If he lasts 10 minutes against 5 of my finest champions, the colony lives. If he falls, your protectorate claims dissolve, and Earth kneels by force. The gate to the arena slid open with a grinding roar. Rowan exhaled. You want the public spectacle. I want truth. What truth? That humans are weak. Rowan lifted his chin. Truth doesn't come from cruelty. Karthix waved him toward the arena floor. Enter. Try to survive. Rowan walked forward. The air changed, dry, charged with static. The arena floor was a wide expanse of metallic plating marked with old combat scars. As Rowan stepped inside, the gate sealed behind him. A second gate opened across the arena. 5 Enforcer champions emerged in full combat armor, each easily twice Rowan's size. Their weapons glowed as they powered up, shock mauls, pulse halberds, kinetic gauntlets. Their eyes burned with anticipation. The broadcast drones positioned themselves in formation, ready to capture every blow. Rowan rolled his shoulder, loosening joints. His muscles ached from the long journey, but he welcomed the pain. It reminded him he was alive, and why he was here. He whispered, barely audible. Not again. Not another Meridian Ridge. Not another slaughter. Not another failure to save those who depended on him. The champions spread out, forming a semicircle. Karthix's voice boomed overhead. Begin! Rowan shifted his weight, breath steady. 5 warriors closed in, and the galaxy watched. The first champion moved before the others, charging with the confidence of a creature bred for war. His armored boots hammered the arena floor, sending vibrations up Rowan's legs as he braced. The Enforcer swung a shock maul in a heavy arc aimed to break bone on impact. Rowan sidestepped just enough for the weapon to slice past his ribs, the energy crackling inches from his skin. He caught the champion's wrist with both hands, twisted, and guided the force downward. The maul slammed into the ground, sending a burst of electricity up the Enforcer's arm. The giant roared, muscles locking from the shock. Rowan kicked the back of the champion's knee, driving him to the floor. The moment the warrior collapsed, Rowan backed away. He didn't strike again. He couldn't afford escalation. Every move had to be defensive, controlled, and non-lethal. Above the arena, Karthix scoffed over the speakers. One stumble. Nothing more. The other 4 champions spread out, forming a tightening circle. Their armor hummed with power, lenses glowing like hungry embers. Rowan angled his body toward the arena's gravity stabilizers, 3 cylindrical pylons embedded in the floor. Their readings flickered unpredictably. He noted the pattern in their pulses. The Enforcers had let the arena age without maintenance. That gave him possibilities. The second champion lunged. This one favored speed, weaving in with twin kinetic blades. Rowan ducked the first swing and pivoted with the momentum. A blade nicked his shoulder, drawing a line of heat across skin. The sting sharpened his focus. Rowan shifted his weight toward the nearest grav pylon. At the moment it pulsed, the ground beneath them dipped slightly, barely perceptible, but enough. The champion stumbled half a step. Rowan seized the opening, driving his elbow into the gap between the warrior's armor plates. Not to harm, just to disrupt balance. The Enforcer crashed sideways into another warrior. A metallic thud echoed through the chamber as both giants toppled. A ripple went through the crowd. Your envoy is nimble. An Enforcer muttered on an open comm channel. Slippery little thing. Rowan heard it. He didn't react. The third champion came at him without hesitation, massive arms sweeping in a bear-like strike. Rowan ducked and rolled beneath the blow, feeling the rush of displaced air against his back. But the impact of the champion's missed swing shattered a panel on the arena floor, sending fragments flying. Rowan dove behind a broken slab of plating. His breath steadied as pain radiated down his side from the earlier strike. He didn't allow himself to linger on it. Karthik's voice thundered above. "Stop toying with him! Crush the insect!" The three standing champions advanced again, more coordinated this time. Their movements tightened, forming a triangle that hemmed Rowan in. The damaged pylon flickered again, casting brief shadows across the metal ground. Rowan stepped toward it deliberately. A champion lunged from the left. Rowan shifted between two strikes, letting the enforcer overextend. The moment the gravity pulse hit, Rowan dropped low, sweeping his leg. The change in weight sent the champion skidding across the floor. Momentum carried him into the opposite wall. Roars filled the chamber. The remaining two champions closed fast. Rowan exhaled, grounding himself. His injuries tugged at his ribs, but he pushed through the ache. He needed to stay ahead of their rhythm. One champion swung a halberd. The blade sliced a thin path through the air, its energy edge humming. Rowan ducked, feeling the heat singe the hair near his ear. He twisted under the second champion's fist, letting their combined weight collide as they misjudged his positioning. Armor clanged. The two giants staggered, briefly entangled. Rowan seized an opening, driving a palm strike into a vulnerable seam near the first champion's shoulder joint. The blow severed a minor stabilizer cable, leaving the arms sluggish and uncoordinated. The champion fell to one knee. A wave of murmurs rippled through the watching soldiers. Drones zoomed closer, seeking dramatic angles. Rowan backed away, chest rising and falling with controlled breaths. Karthik snarled over the speakers. "Enough! Finish him!" The last standing champion roared in frustration and charged with reckless fury. His instincts overpowered discipline. Rowan recognized the shift instantly. The warrior swung a fist the size of Rowan's head. Rowan slipped beneath it, and using the warrior's momentum, guided the enforcer into the failing grav pylon. The pulse hit at the perfect moment. Weightlessness surged through the arena. The champion staggered, confused by the sudden loss of traction. Rowan spun, using the reduced gravity to his advantage, and kicked off the ground. He launched into the air just enough to twist his body and drive both feet into the champion's chest, sending him backward into another pylon. Gravity snapped back, slamming the giant to the floor with a thunderous crash. Silence swept the arena. Rowan steadied himself. Sweat dripped down his temple, mixing with dust and dried blood. His shoulder throbbed, ribs tightened, and dizziness threatened to pull his vision sideways. But he was still standing. Karthik slammed a fist against the railing. "You think endurance makes you strong? You have only delayed the truth." Rowan wiped blood from his lip. "Truth stands on its own." "Then face mine," Karthik snarled. Guards exchanged uneasy glances. Karthik leapt from the dais, landing in the arena with enough force to rattle the floor. His ceremonial war halberd crackled with energy. "You've lasted long enough," the High Marshal growled. "That wasn't the deal," Rowan said. Karthik advanced. "I do not honor deals with worms." The colonists screamed from their restraints. Officers watched in stunned silence, shocked by their commander's blatant violation of protocol. Karthik raised the halberd. Rowan didn't move away. He stood firm, gaze steady despite the blood streaking his face. "You should kneel," Karthik said, voice low and venomous. Rowan met his eyes. "No." The word hit like a dropped stone. Karthik lifted the halberd higher. Rowan touched his earpiece with trembling fingers. Not out of fear, but exhaustion. His voice came out in a quiet murmur meant for no one except the one listening. "Backup's here." Karthik sparked a laugh. "You expect rescue? Humanity has no ships in range." Rowan lowered his hand. "You should check your sensors." Alarms erupted across the station. Lights dimmed. Consoles overloaded. Grav stabilizers shook. Officers shouted warnings. Warp signatures bloomed like sudden stars. Karthix froze. Rowan straightened despite the pain. The entire arena vibrated as something impossibly vast appeared outside the station. Rowan's voice, quiet and unwavering, carried through the chaos. I told you! I'm not alone! The alarms rose into a piercing wail, shaking dust from the arena ceiling. Red emergency lights washed the chamber in a harsh glow as enforcer officers scrambled across balconies, shouting into malfunctioning comm consoles. Karthik spun toward the command deck, eyes widening at the chaos erupting behind the reinforced glass. Report! He roared. No answer came. Officers stared at their screens in disbelief, as if reality itself had turned against them. Data flickered wildly, massive signatures forming out of nothing, too close to track. Rowan turned his gaze upward. The arena's viewport displayed a fragment of the void outside. A shadow eclipsed the stars, growing larger by the second. The Enforcer's armored warships, once symbols of intimidation, appeared dwarfed by the emerging silhouette. A human dreadnought slipped into existence. Not warped. Not signaled. Not announced. It appeared, silent, sudden, and colossal, like a god stepping across dimensions. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of failing machinery. Karthik stared, jaw clenched. Impossible! Rowan wiped blood from his brow. You wanted the galaxy watching. He gestured weakly toward the viewport. Now they are. Another dreadnought materialized, then another. Dozens phased into position around Varco Prime, forming an iron wall. Their hulls reflected starlight off sharp angles and dark plating, each vessel carrying enough power to shatter continents. The broadcast drones zoomed toward the glass, capturing every detail for the galaxy-wide feed. One officer managed to speak, voice cracking. High Marshal, they bypassed our entire perimeter. No warp trail. No jump corridor. They appeared. Karthix's pupils contracted. That technology does not exist. It does, Rowan said. Outside, the lead dreadnought's bow panel shifted. A deep blue beacon ignited at its spine, a signal, not a weapon. The dreadnoughts held position, perfectly still, like statues carved from the vacuum. Rowan straightened. Humanity learned a long time ago that raw strength invites fear. So we chose caution. Patience. Delay. He looked directly at Karthix. Doesn't mean we forgot how to defend ourselves. Karthix tightened his grip on the halberd, jaw trembling with a mixture of anger and disbelief. Your species hides behind toys. Defense, Rowan corrected. Not domination. The colonists in restraints looked up as the broadcast drones shifted angles, capturing their expressions. Their fear eased slightly, replaced with awe. A voice chimed into the arena's speakers, calm, resonant, unmistakably human. Captain Hale, this is Admiral Reeve. Multiple ships anchored and stable. Dimensional fractures closed. Ready for further instruction. The Enforcer soldiers stiffened. Humanity commanding a fleet of this scale with such precision was inconceivable. Rowan exhaled, the tension in his shoulders easing. Admiral, stand by. Yes, sir. Karthik snarled. Your vessels surrounding us will trigger war. Only if you fire first, Rowan replied. He took a step forward. Pain shot through his ribs, but he didn't stagger. Release the colonists. Cease all expansion into sovereign territories. Admit on record that you violated treaty law. Karthix's glare burned. You give orders as if you hold the advantage. Rowan gestured toward the viewport where another dreadnought emerged, its hull so close it filled the glass. You think I don't? The chamber trembled as the dreadnought stabilized. Its engines hummed with quiet menace. Officers flinched each time a panel glowed. Karthix's resolve cracked. The halberd tip lowered. You expect mercy? Rowan's tone stayed steady. I expect accountability. The High Marshal's chest heaved, rage boiling under the surface. The idea that a lone human, battered and bleeding, had turned the most feared military force into the cornered party, unthinkable. The Enforcer commanders above began whispering urgently. Karthix heard their doubt. He heard fear creeping into his ranks. He turned back to Rowan, voice quieter but still bitter. You're not strong. You're desperate. You. Rowan cut him off. Strength without control destroys everything around it. That's what you don't understand. The words resonated across the chamber. A senior enforcer officer stepped forward. High Marshal, we cannot win against this. We must comply. Karthix bared his teeth. Cowards! Rowan lifted a hand. Enough. You can end this cleanly. And if I refuse? Karthix asked. Rowan didn't raise his voice. Look outside. Karthix looked. The ring of dreadnoughts pulsed with light, ready to defend, not attack, but unstoppable if provoked. He felt the weight of them pressing on the station's hull like a warning from the cosmos itself. He spat at the ground. Fine. His voice carried no dignity. Release the hostages. Guards rushed to the captives, unlocking restraints. The colonists stumbled forward, tears glistening under the emergency lights. One colonist whispered, Captain, how did you? Rowan steadied her shoulder. Later. You're safe now. A broadcast drone hovered close, capturing the moment as Rowan guided the group behind him. Karthix's anger snapped. This isn't victory, he hissed. One day, we will reclaim our place. You don't lose your place, Rowan said quietly. You earn it. The warlord lunged, halberd raised. Rage blinded him completely. He swung downward. Rowan stepped aside, letting the strike hit the floor. Sparks shot up. Before Karthix could recover, Rowan grasped his wrist, twisted, and pulled him off balance. The halberd clattered across the arena. Rowan held him but didn't strike. Karthix froze, chest heaving. The realization sank in, that Rowan could kill him easily in this moment. Instead, Rowan released him. The restraint humiliated Karthix more than any blow could have. Enforcer commanders exchanged glances. Several stepped down, surrounding their leader. High Marshal, one officer said. You've endangered the Legion. We relieve you of command. Karthix glared at Rowan one last time before guards escorted him away. Rowan let out a shaky breath. The adrenaline had begun to fade, leaving exhaustion in its wake. The speakers crackled again. Captain Hale, Admiral Reeves said. The galaxy's channels are broadcasting this everywhere. The Enforcer Coalition is collapsing. Then maybe peace will hold, Rowan replied. He turned toward the colonists. We're leaving. The arena gates opened. The path to the hangar stretched long and harsh, but the dreadnought's shadows through the viewport softened every step. As they boarded Sparrow 7, a reporter rushed forward, microphone trembling. Captain, were you afraid? Rowan paused on the ramp. He looked back at the massive ships outside, then at the wounded colonists beside him. Of course, he said. Courage isn't lack of fear. It's choosing to stand anyway. He stepped inside the shuttle. Outside, the dreadnoughts shimmered. One by one, they phased out of existence, slipping beyond the reach of sensors, leaving no trace except the awe they had carved into the minds of every watching species. Engines hummed. Sparrow 7 lifted off. Rowan leaned back in his seat, every injury finally catching up to him. But he allowed himself one small, tired smile. The galaxy would remember this day. Humanity stood. Not with armies, but with resolve.